Greetings and the best of salutations. Yes, overcoming disturbances and interruptions. It's um, it's personal. Human relations and human relationships. Just want to look at the word disturbance. Let's see how it is defined here. As I use this Google thing. Disturbance. The definition: an interruption of a settlement in peaceful condition. A breakdown of peaceful and law-abiding behavior, a riot, the disruption of a healthy functioning. It's an interruption. Something that could explode. A settled and peaceful condition. I realize you can best diagnose any situation on anyone. For me, I've come to learn to know that by the condition of the circumstances in which he or she has come out of. Because I've come to learn to know that circumstances makes us other than ourselves. That circumstances makes us other than ourselves. Human relations, the way we connect to human relationship, ships the connection itself. For me, the foundation of me, just say me, remember it's personal. That which is primarily important to me is an objective term. In the forefront of our mind, that which means that how I gather information and data based upon this living experience and the things in which I investigate and research, because the best project that one can work on is him or herself. What is primarily important to me, and that which comes to the frontal or the front of my mind, my thinking and my behavior, is the all-encompassing embodiment of me, because it embodies me. My thinking and my behavior. It represents me. I don't need no representation. I represent myself. So, whatever I may be, wherever I may be, however I may be, wherever I may be forever, I may be, is the cause that I represent. Because it's me. I've come here to learn to know how to be me. Secondly, my physical existence temporarily has a hold on me to make sure that I come to learn to know I am physio-sociological, a living organism that is always evolving, psychological being. The spiritual becomes material. The spirit or the energy of life, existence, or that exists in this body, which gives me meaning and purpose. As a result, I'm projecting that evolutionary development. How so? I am always investigating, researching, and examining my thinking and the behavior of my existence. My existence can be measured by the way and by how I invest in myself. I think that's pretty clear. So, in the what was is no longer what is. Well, yet, when someone tries to make out what was to make it what it is not anymore, that's emotional reasoning. That's distorted thinking. That is unrealistic. Why did I say that? Because I'm trying, we deal with the psychosocial, emotional dislocation. The past is just a reference point, it's not a place of residence. We talk about great institutions in the past and great empires in the past. What was is not anymore. And that which worked then does not necessarily apply to the day. I realize that which is very harmful to people for many other things primarily is an addiction. And in that addiction, one becomes resistance to change. Seasons change. Some can cosmetically try to cover up their old way, or the way in which they look as a youth. They're old now. They become older, and then they try to cover up cosmetic, altering their physical appearance. And that sounds like also altered state of consciousness. And some would say that could be good, but altered. Well, the mind at its best is to be productive. And how these neurological transmitters are connected in our brain, if I may use that language. And I'm starting to realize, man, is that how can we continue to say what was, dwell on what was that is not, that was once was, and make it out that it is what it once was? That just don't make sense. I mean, as humans, as we evolve and grow in development, we was, and now we're not that anymore. Only if it is just in, only our DNA may be as it is. Now, I'm no scientist, but I'm still talking about the manner human relations and human relationships, how they're formed, how they are established. The way, as a song said, the way we was. It's just a memory. Then we can try to hold on to the memories, and they're not there no more. They're gone. They passed. They're not no more. So people use memories to hold you hostage, while at the same time they are moving on with their life. That's kind of diabolical, but it's personal. It's on you. If you want to live in the past, and that's the emotional reasons, you're dealing with the emotions, and that's on you. The past is just a reference point. It's not a place of residence. You can reference it. But what about referencing, moving to a point where we can reference what is primary in front of us of that which we are dealing with? As I said, the addiction, the primary addiction is that we want to, I think, I said, what dwell on that which we thought, and that which was is not no longer what it is, and we make it out to be so. I may have forgot what I said the primary addiction is. But the word itself is in addition to, it seems to have a stronghold on us, in addition to, which means we're still adding on more problems of the past. And not to mention, we want the pleasure, but we don't want the responsibility. Not to mention, it's associated with an addiction that's really associated with a sadist. A sadist, wants to, takes pleasure in inflicting harm and danger on you. Pain on you. Yes. It's very painful. Who wants to hold on to pain? The pain of the present or the pain of the past? The pain and the suffering. Even though, some religious teachings, possibly Buddhism, say that's a necessary. I mean, don't say that, but suffering is part of life. But who wants to suffer? Unnecessarily. If you dwell on the suffering of the past, that's on you. And if you bring that suffering to the past and to the present, that's on you as well. But there's always help. That's why I say the best project that one could work on is him or herself. And we have to be overcome that we don't attract that pain, that suffering. Those, some would call it traumatic experiences. And then we place those experiences on one another. In our human relations, the way that we do it. And the way that we do it could be very manipulative. We're still dealing with codependency. We're still dealing with dependency, on another. Once again, very manipulative. Yes. And placing those traumatic experiences on another. Because we want the pleasure, but we don't want the responsibility that comes with the pleasure. So what is nature? Nature comes to awaken our conscious. And once it awakens our conscious, then we become responsible for that and with that. We become aware that we must be responsible. And take responsibility for our actions, our growth, our thinking, our development, how we behave, how we interact, in the manner in which we gave. Now, the altered states of consciousness, drugs, alcohol, and sex can alter your consciousness, can alter you in the pleasure. Now, I have personal issues in the need of for affection. Yes. And the challenge is overcoming that addiction of feeling of abandonment. Yes. And it's dealing with the way it came about and brought, and the way it was brought to me, and the way I came to that conclusion. And then the relationship of it is the actual connection, and that's the human relations, the way, and then the connection itself, you know. And so this is how I try to overcome it. I realized that first I must have an understanding of it. And once I have an understanding of it, that's the task, to have an understanding of it. And then I try to, when it comes to this need for affection and feelings of abandonment, and because I see how it is administrated, how it is administrated, and how it was administrated to me. If it's too much of that need for it, I become overload. You know what I'm saying? You become overbearing. But the end of the day of understanding that task, if I may use that, effort or task, one of the two, but they're probably interchangeable, is the task must be synchronized in sync. Because it's when it's unsynchronized, talking about the need for affection, I am out of order. So that's why I say that I'm trying to deal with feelings of inadequacy when I say SDLD, a social disorder, learning disability, with once you throw off the ecology of the environment, one's intellectual aptitude for learning becomes difficult. So my intellectual aptitude for learning becomes very difficult. And going about how to restore one's social credibility. Another way how I try to overcome it is the effort, and the effort must be synthesized. But I try to go about it in a way after has been administrated. I think I try to facilitate in overcoming disturbances and interruptions. Personally, when it comes to human relations and human relationships, the way in the connection itself. And you can see if it's not connected properly in the right connection, then there is a problem. So, that is try to facilitate that process and trying to going about an end result of readdressing social diversity, trying to make sense of diversity. which means trying to overcome, differences, my personal indifferences as well as differences that I may have with myself and have with others when it comes to human relations and human relationships. Then the next way I try to overcome it is the understanding. I think I forgot to say tolerance. And I understand my tolerance level. Yeah, I forgot to say that. And I think I need there's capacity training as well. But needs to say, then there is a temperament, the self-control of my attitude. I try to coordinate that the best way I can. And in coordinating that, I try to understand the importance of revising being socially coherent, which means be consistent in my thinking, be consistent rather than inconsistent when it comes to overcoming disturbances and interruptions in its personal and human relations and human relationships. Yes, and feelings of abandonment and the need for affection. Yes. So yes, coordinate that, and then that's the self control of my attitude, and then the confidence, the building up the confidence. That's on the momentum now, and then I try to aggregate that, and I try to bring it together. Try to bring it together and keep it together. Of being coherent, of overcoming the indifferences and the differences of diversity. Learning from my indifferences and the indifferences, and in the differences and the indifferences of others. Trying to keep it together, coherent, and being credible, because one's integrity is his or her word. Aggregate it, bring it together. And that's the confidence. I must display that confidence. When it comes to human relations and human relationships and feelings of abandonment and the need for affection. And then finally, I deal with the respect. And in doing so, the respect is to reclaiming, because the end result is to reclaim social solidarity. Because once you are solid, anything that comes at you, they will proceed coming at you with caution. And that is solid is to be organized, the balance, mental, emotional, spiritually, whatever. You will repel anything that comes at you if you're solid, you're organized, mentally, emotionally, if you have that balance. And so this is how I try to overcome disturbances and interruptions. My task, my effort, my time, and my energy, and my nature. The task must be synchronized. The effort must be synthesized. The time must be economized. Don't waste unnecessarily expenditures or expenses. Extra burdens and responsibilities, man. Every fight ain't my fight. And the time must be, what I said, economized, and the nature is dealing with syncretism. which means it's about reverence. Reverence. Having reverence for all life. How do one come to have reverence for him or herself if he or she is burdened with the addiction of pleasure without being taking the responsibility of being responsible with that pleasure? In doing so, he or she lacks accountability. And when he or she lacks accountability, it is moral culture. Due to moral culture decline, it is called recidivism. You repeat it over and over and over again. And that what you repeat over and over again, do it over again. Some will call it repetition. Associate that with the learning ability. Some say if you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, that's insanity. So distinguish between that which is sane, which is insane. Because what was ain't what it is. What was ain't what it used to be. What you are is what you are. What you become is what you become is what you have become. And it is due to some type of influence. Be careful of who and what influences you and what has a hold on you. Be careful of the past, because it affects the present as well. Could have some bearings on your future. Until next time, stay strong. Talk to you.